Hello guys, and welcome back to The Crew 2. More specifically, to The Crew 2 Hotshots. The embargo has been lifted, which also means that we can post all our videos. And that was also intentionally, that was my idea. I do it like in December. I post all kind of videos and then people can watch it. This time I decided to not do that in such a way. I'm just gonna put it all in one video. Is going to be one long video, probably more than an hour, if not 2 hours. We will see how long it takes to cover everything that is coming into the game and a bit more in depth, explaining a few things here and there, which more than likely will be needed. So, what are the main features of this hotshot update? Are obviously the summit, the competition coming into the play with all these motorsports. This game is about American motorsports, legal American motorsports more specifically. And of course, then it needs some sort of championships, some sort of competition. That's where the summit comes into play. Next to that, they brought us some extra customization, which they call the Vanity items. Mainly has to do with wheels and smokes and such like that. To be able to play in the summit, you want to have some decent parts. They already gave us with Christmas as well in the last 2 weeks, sort of the Eastern event. And both of those events did the same thing. It put more live reward boxes out there with better loot in it, so it was easier to find the yellow parts. But then you have those affixes, and they come along with percentages, and also that needs to be something where you need some help. It's gonna be some costly help though. It's called Scrap and Recaliber. You're gonna need to pay for it with bucks or with crew credits or whatever, or you can get some from your old parts as well. That also means that some sort of third currency will come into play. That sort of summarizes the whole thing. We have the summit, we have vanity items, we have scrap and recalibration. Next to that, some small changes here and there. Some people might not be interested in those small changes. For other people, it will be like a God's gift. We will also take a look into those things, obviously. And all of that down below in the description of this video, you will find a timeline. All different subjects. You can click on the time if there is something specific you want to see, and then it will fast forward you into that video to the point where you want to be. So I decided to do it one long video, and we'll do it that way. Sort of comes down to the same. For different parts of the video, you just can click on the timeline that I will put in there. So time to start. As always, what are people most interested in? Menu changes, new cars, that kind of stuff they always want to see. So let's start with that. Menu changes, pretty simple. If we go into these menu things here, news, as far as I know, not much has changed. More than likely, there will be, next to the daily contracts and the live battle, there will be something remaining or coming into for the summit, although I am not 100% sure. Pilot menu, not much has changed. It's not like we have extra icon points or something. No, that's not the case. Of course, in this build here that they gave us, which was an poor icon 7027 driver, not so poor bucks wise, they gave us enough money to play around with as well in bucks as in crew credits. But it was poor because, yeah, we were icon 27 or something when we came into this build, which also means we only have 9 points to play around with. The result of that is we could not properly test certain vehicles or certain, like something like the drift with maxed out slippery or so. It's not possible. The roster, not much changed. A couple of people have been invited, including 11 of my friends, as you can see. Catalog, obviously things have changed, but we will just take a look at the cars instead of going through a catalog in a second. The vehicles, what you for instance see here is my Drift Mazda RX-7, which I made in a gold color. It has some golden tires on it, which is Vanity, and it also has golden smoke. We will do a little spin in that once we come to the Vanity items. Activities, also here, little changes. On the left here, you saw like one big ticket for the live battle, the PvP. that it has now become a small ticket with underneath it a separate ticket for the summit. That's a way to get there. In the Extreme Lives series, if we go in there, we had episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we had the grand finale. Then we had the September Spectacular. That was for the Gator Rush update. We had the Holiday Special. That was an extra episode for the December update. And now we will have the Extreme Live series Miami Surf and Turf. Powerboat, Rally Raid, and Hypercar. It needs to be done in. We might also have a look on that in this video. Options. Notifications, video. In case you come after the update into the game, you always have to change the gamma. The gamma is you're sort of gonna get this screen when you start up the game first, and then you have to adjust this bar, the brightness, till you barely see the logo of the crew 2 up there. If it's still too dark or too light, then you can always go back into the options video settings and configure the brightness again, make it a bit lighter and darker. It mainly has to do with the fact that we know that by now the headlights are not properly working, so they made the nights a bit brighter and a bit shorter so that people actually see where they are going. That being said, there is a little bit of help on the way to know where you are going. Which brings us sort of audio and controls and key mapping. As far as I know, not much has changed there. The key mapping already in December has been updated so that we can have separate controls for our ground vehicles, airplanes, and boats. And then you have the general controls. Moving to the game settings, there are a few things changed here. A few little things, but for some people, God's gift. Freestyle UI. Freestyle user interface. As you can see, I have that off. What does that mean? You can put it on or off now. And that means that that pink bar with all your followers and all your points and things that's happening and flashing all over the place, you can actually put it off now. That means that if you drive on hood cam or with cockpit view just cruising around, nothing will be on your screen anymore. If you put the speedometer off and you put the minimap off, then there is nothing on your screen except for the road and your car, or the road and your wheel in case you are in cockpit view. That's so a very, very good thing, that you don't have that constant ping bar on your screen. It has disappeared. I will put it off here. If we go a bit down the road, more specifically down the menu road, you see 3D GPS. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, the blue line is back. It's more specifically, it's blue arrows in the sky instead of a full line this time, but it works like it should be. And not only do you need to put like perk points, like in the crew 1 we had to put perk points on it and then it was constantly there, or you had to take the perk points off and so on. No, this time it is a menu option. You can put it on or off, and yes, you can see here, you can put it on or off in all kind of disciplines or in only in free drive. I will put it on in free ride so that later on you will see the blue line. If you say, I have a bit of a problem with the hypercars, they go too fast, I can't see where I'm going, you put it on in hypercar, or you can just put it on all over the place. That's all possible. Personally, motocross most of the time is just a track, a race track. If you learn that track, then you don't need the GPS in motocross. The same goes in rallycross. Hovercraft, sometimes a bit hard to see where you're going, so you can put it on there. Jet sprint with all the mangroves and such, also interesting to put it on there. The powerboat, you can put it on if you want, not that interesting, but it's all up to you. How it all looks, we will take a look in a second. So, menu-wise, mainly that pink bar has disappeared and we have a blue GPS line. The weather is constantly going to change here in this test build because every 5 minutes or so the weather changes, because also there they have made some improvements on the weather system. And that means that to showcase that in this build they overdone it a little bit. I think every few minutes the weather changes. It's either sunshine, then it's going to have like this cloudy, like it's going to rain. More than likely it will be raining in a few minutes, and then it's snowing again, all that kind of stuff. That of course will not be in the build, I hope, in the update, because it's a bit, the sequence is a bit too fast here. Going into the house, walked into a lamp. Not sure if that was there, but if it was before. We have the trailer. The trailer is playing. The trailer of the game was always playing on your TV set. And the problem with that thing is, if you're involved in YouTube or Twitch or any other broadcasting service, you have a problem. Because there is music playing and that song is giving you a right climb every time. Why? Because we couldn't put it off. That has changed. If you walk up to the TV, you will get the option to mute or unmute it. And you just put it on unmute. It's not playing. You can watch this trailer, not a problem. Not playing music, you will not get a rights claim. Then of course the Hotshots update was it was an update, the third one in a row. The first one was Gator Rush. Came in September. It brought us an extra discipline, more specifically the hovercrafts, where we could play around a little bit in, and of course that also came with some extra cars and stuff like that. In this case, it was mostly about these hovercraft events. Moving on to December, we had the Demolition Derby. Now, this Fender Rattlesnake, if I'm not mistaken, was the Season Pass car. Talking about the Season Pass, it came. The December update came next to the Demolition. It also came with PvP, of course, bringing it into the game, and then also all kind of vehicles. A Bugatti Chiron was there, some other vehicles as well, next to the Season Pass vehicles, which was this thing, and then I think the extra 330 airplane or something like that. Talking about that Season Pass, we are walking around here in the Los Angeles house, and that also means that Season Pass. Season Pass exclusive, it gave us an extra house location here in Los Angeles. It also gave us 3 exclusive vehicles, including this thing here, the Spitfire in aerobatics, the Porsche 3.6 Turbo 911, and the Blade Runner 35 powerboat. Those 3 vehicles were exclusive for the Season Pass. It were the only exclusive vehicles that we had, next to the house and a 20% discount on whatever it is that we buy in the game. If you don't have the Season Pass, you will not have those vehicles, but you will get your hands on all the other vehicles that they have brought in the last 11 months. 11 months, that might ring a bell. That also means that the upcoming May vehicles are actually the last ones. The Season Pass more or less comes to an end, at least for Season 1. I don't know, are they going to bring another one for Season 2 or not? We will see. But Season 1 comes to an end, and that means that all the free content will also come to an end. This Hotshot update, including the Season Pass vehicles, because they will bring them along with this update. That also means that if you don't have the Season Pass, those 2 vehicles, you will only be able to drive, in this case, next week if you don't have Season Pass. But we'll come back to that in a second. We will see what you do with this. Also, if you check the website, the April Season Pass vehicles, the Porsche Cayman GT4 and the Suzuki GSX 1000 bike, those were the April vehicles. They still need to be added on the website, and then you see that there are 2 spots open, and that will be for the next ones. We go into the garage here, have a look what we find there. We find a few of these Season Pass vehicles that were given to us for free over the last 11 months. It was free for Season Pass holders. 1 week later, everybody else could go to the dealer and just buy them. That's sort of how the Season Pass was an early access, and if you had the Season Pass, you got the things for free. If you didn't, you had to pay some money for it. In the back there, you see the Spiker C8 Aeron, and on the left there, one of the latest Season Pass vehicles, the GSX bike, the 1000. Over here, we see a Golf. Nothing much wrong with that thing, other than the fact that you can just buy that in the headquarters. On that Golf, you see we have some different tires. One of the vanity items is These tires with the from the ERT brand, I think. Those are, of course, those are virtual brands. They do not have brand licensing for all these different real live tires. That's not something you're going to find here, but some text on the side, some stripes on the side, some colors, all kind of stuff. I think I also have the red smoke vanity item on this Golf, and so on. So that has to do with the vanity items. You might also notice something else. I have an RMD sign here, and it's on the window. That is also completely new from this update. You can enable window stickering if you want. If you are in delivery, you go into the menu where you copy and paste and delete deliveries. One of the options will be enable stickers on the windows, and if you check that one, then you can actually make stickers and put them on the windows itself, which is of course something many people, especially those who are into creations and designing and such, they wanted to see that. I gave you a pretty simple example just to showcase that it is possible. Over there you see the Porsche Cayman GT4, which is another one of the season pass vehicles over the months. What you see here is a touring car version of a Corvette. It's a Corvette C6, it's not the ZR1, but the ZR1 2009, coming back from the Crew 1. A car that many people have asked for to bring it back because it was still missing. So that is season pass car number 1 for May, which will be in the build tomorrow. So you will be able to drive the Corvette ZR1. Then some people will say, yeah, but it's for the Crew 1, blah, blah, blah. We know how that goes. Always people complaining. That's what they do. But I'm pretty sure they will not be complaining about the other season pass vehicle. Turning around, we will find the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10. Season pass for May as well. It will be in the game as a normal car. I know there have been some trailers out there with the Red Fury edition, which is a special edition for this car. We will come to that in a second. But they also have a normal version. For those people who were fearing that they have to get Platinum to get the Mitsubishi, no, you do not. You just have to wait and sit back because it's a season pass vehicle. This will be in-game if you're a season pass holder. If you're not a season pass holder, as far as I know, just like with all the other season pass vehicles, 1 week wait. Unless they decided differently and make them available from day 1 for everybody. I'm not aware of that decision. If not, you have to wait for a week if you're not a season pass holder. You will be able to drive it. You already saw that yellow Porsche Cayman GT4 sort of trying to replicate the Wasp edition of that car, which is one of the Summit rewards. The Summit will come with weekly summits, and in the beginning or at the end of the month, there will be a so-called monthly summit, and in that monthly summit, if you reach the Platinum medal, you will be able to get a new vehicle. That can be a special edition of a certain car, like in this case, the Porsche Cayman GT4 season pass for April, if I'm not mistaken, or for March. It will have a Wasp edition, sort of like a bee thing, or like a wasp, and yellow and black. On the side, it will have a GT4 stripe and some other bumpers maybe. But we did not have the Wasp edition available to drive in this build, so I can also not show it you. So I sort of try to replicate it with the normal GT4. What I can show is the special edition. Already saw in the trailer of the Evo 10 Red Fury. That is this thing here, Summit reward as well. So you will be able to win this throughout the summit if you reach the Platinum medal. I'm not sure they will see how many people are playing the summit, but in general, a Platinum... The original idea was to get the top 1,000 players the Platinum medal. But they also have been doing some tests, as far as I know, with percentages. So it also might be possible that, just like in the Crew 1, Platinum medal will be for like the top 10% players. But that means if 10,000 people are playing, you also need the top 1,000 for the Platinum. So it pretty much comes down to the same thing. We will see how they do it with a top 1,000 or with a top 10% for the Platinum. If you reach that, you get this thing. It has a special hood which you cannot put on the normal one, if I'm not mistaken. Same goes for wings and special features on the car, which you will not be able to put on the other car. So if you want to have this specific one, which also has the red smoke on it as a vanity item next to some special tires as well, go play the summit. That's the idea. Now, this was the LA house and season pass vehicles and summit rewards. It's time to get out. If we go out, we see my name there, which might also seem new to some, and it actually is new. They have made some new game tags, name tags, whatever you want to call it. It's a bit more black background with white letters. Next to it in red you see the 53, which represents your icon level. So you see the player's name and you also see his icon level. That already gives you a pretty good idea if you are dealing with a new player or with somebody who is more seasonal with this all. What is happening here? Press the wrong button or something. Let's have a look in the garage in Miami house. The house that most people have. There are 6 houses on the map, but they only made 2 available at this moment in time. Mainly due to some technical issues with the other houses, I believe. But over time, there might be a time where they will actually open the houses in Detroit, Las Vegas, New York, and Dallas. That's where you'll find the other houses next to Miami and Los Angeles. Also here, the same favorite vehicles, obviously. A bit of a different layout of the house, a different kitchen a little bit and such, but going to the garage. Let's see what we find there. What we find there is mainly Elite Bundle number 1. That is should be familiar to you guys, because this is the Ferrari 812 Superfast. On the back there you have the Ford GT Le Mans series, and over there you have the Red Bull 14 with some Blue Storm tires on it. Those Blue Storm tires you might have seen in one of the trailers that they have been bringing out in the last couple of weeks, next to the Golden Gem tire. That has to do with the vanity items. It was not so much about the cars as some people thought. New Focus was coming or whatever. That was not the case. It was just about the vanity items. And those blue tires kind of look neat on that Disruption edition of the Red Bull. Why do I show Elite Bundle number 1? Well, pretty simple. Because also in this case, Elite Bundle number 2. The Lamborghini Egoista. In the back, the Acura NSX GT3. And over there, Hypercar Ferrari 488 Pista. This thing here, Egoista. It's price-wise, yeah, of course, another one of those things. They gave all these vehicles here in this build to test. That's all fine. But the problem with that is we don't know the price exactly. It's somewhere between the Regera and the Chiron. So the Regera is 1.3 million, if I'm not mistaken. The Chiron around 2.4 million. So this thing, somewhere in between, I'm guessing a 1.7, 1.8 million you're gonna have to pay. Obviously, that is in-game bucks. Over here, the 488 Pista Hypercar, bit of a performance version of the 488. The 488, which we do not have like a street race car or anything. We have the 458 Speciale in hypercars now. Well, I'm assuming that this thing will be a little bit faster though. Neat looking car. Have been customizing it a little bit. And over here the Acura, which we already had in street race and drift. The drift was the Icon 700 from the timeline. And there you can win that thing if you reach Icon 700. The street race was just a car that you could buy, not even a bad one either. So this time we have the GT3, that's a touring car version of it. And then of course that will be available. These 3 vehicles, over time I'm assuming they will be available separately, maybe already from day 1. I think in the December update that other Elite Bundle was available for about 3 weeks, and then you could buy them separately. I have no idea what they are going to do now. It's available from day 1 separately. If not, you will have to wait if you just want one of these things. But in general, they will be available. The price of that thing, not sure. We will see when it is in the game. But yeah, you can already imagine that this thing around 1.7, 1.8 million. Those other two will also be a couple of 100,000. So we are probably looking at around 3.2 million with a 20% discount for the bundle. So yeah, you're gonna need some bucks if you want to buy these three cars. And that brings us, of course, to this thing here, Bugatti Divo. The trailer is already out, meanwhile, and that means that you already knew this was coming. But this is the the supercar. In December, we got the Chiron, which you could get for 2.3 million. Obviously, this thing is going to be more. I'm thinking we're looking at a price from around 3 million, a bit depending if you have season pass or not. Because also for all those vehicles, if you have the season pass, you get a 20% discount, so they are a bit cheaper. If you don't have the season pass, yeah, we might have to go a little bit over 3 million. That more or less is what it comes down to. Now, those are, as far as we know, the new cars. Of course, we have the Summit now, and that means that the Summit, there will be rewards at least every month, occasionally maybe even some sooner, some special events. They can do whatever, they have a zillion options over there. The Summit will not only be special editions of certain cars, there might also be some new cars in there. Well, for a fact, we know that there will be some new cars in there because we already have driven some of them. Some people out there have leaked those pictures, obviously, and then some people think that they have a good thing of posting all that things. But then you know it's leaked footage because there are certain cars mentioned out there which you have not seen here in this video, for instance, or in the Ivory Tower livestream. The reason for that is pretty simple. They will not be in the game. They might come later as a summit reward, or they might just be there to fool certain people and see who are the leakers. Those are all kind of options. That being said, yeah, we have more or less seen the cars, which also means we have to move, because yeah, there is not much else to do here in the house. Meanwhile, it has been raining, as I said. The weather changes quite often in this build. Another reason why I don't do the short videos this time, because yeah, the weather changes anyway, which is already a bit of a problem, video-wise. Now, yeah, it's taking a while before we get into HQ. That is, first of all, this is a test build. Secondly, I didn't have room enough on my SSD, so I had to put it on the hard disk, which already makes it a bit slower. Over here, we see the leaderboard. That is the normal leaderboard based on icon level, and then next to that based on followers. In first place there are 720,000 followers, although second place has the same icon level. He has a little bit less followers, that's why they are 1 and 2. This leaderboard, I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Not this specific leaderboard, this is just for this build where only about 25 or 30 people have been invited. But in total in the game, you have those AFK farmers up there. I don't know if they have been throwing them off or not. What I do know is that all the leaderboards from the campaign events, from all the races that are out there on the map, those have been cleaned and swept out. The reason that they have done that is for obvious reasons, that certain cars, for instance, the Nissan 370Z in rally rate had a little bit of a bug in such a way that it did not slow down in the water, for instance, in the bayou and swamp area track. That, of course, meant that it was a bit too OP on that track and everybody was using that. Later on, they have patched that car and it should slow down in the water just like all the other rally rate vehicles. It does slow down now. That also means that times were on that board which were not achievable anymore, and that's why they did the wipeout. Another reason for the wipeout is the wall riding. Some of the times on the leaderboards have been set with wall riding. Meanwhile, the wall riding has been fixed back in December, January somewhere. and that means that you cannot attend to try to get those fast times anymore because it's just impossible. Some of those fast times were set with bugged cars or with wall riding, and that needed to be cleaned out. And so they decided instead of going like check all the times, check all the cars, just do a complete wipeout of the leaderboards, which basically means you have to reset the time on all those tracks. Not a big deal for people who want to play. It's another thing to do. The only people that will have problem with that are some cheaters or whatever who have set some false times. Walking through the HQ, here we have our Divo again. But yeah, I cannot go in there to see what the price of that thing is, because it will just say owned. Seeing they gave it to us in the garage, we did not have to buy this. Bit of a problem price-wise. The daily contracts, let's have a look. Anything specific in there? It will come into play. I have 2 contracts running at the moment. I completed one during this build somewhere. This is still the same system. Although I have seen that there are some other things here and there. I'm not constantly doing these things. Occasionally, if one is that interests me, I do that. Or I re-roll a few times, and that's how I do it on my main driver. Over here I see fly under 5 bridges in different locations. Not something that I can immediately recall doing on the normal build, so there might be some changes here that they have come up with, like some new stuff to do that you do not always have to do those same skill tests over and over or something like that. But it's an easy way to get crew credits, and you might need it for something. We will see. Other than that, not much has been changed here on that bus. Let's go to the tent. The Elite Bundle number 2 that you just saw in the garage there with the Egoista and the NSX and the 488 Pista. Where do you need to buy that? Over here in this yellow tent, which is more or less the shop. You will see some other stuff here. You have the bundles. Over here on top you see Vanity, spare parts, and CC packs. The CC packs, those are just you can buy crew credit packs if you want to with real money. Some people like to do that just to get stuff a little bit faster in the beginning of a game or so. It's all up to you. But as you can see, as I just shown in the daily contracts and the orange bus, you can also get free crew credits. 1500, 2500, 5000, depending on the difficulty of the contract. And you can get them for free. Over here, yeah, we have some examples here now. This is the Extreme Spirit, something Red Bull thing. You can win a Red Bull 13 and a Red Bull KTM bike. Sort of, not win it, you can buy it with like 20% discount in a bundle. And that's also the case for that Elite bundle from those 3 new vehicles. You will find it here. What is this here? Expert or something? Apparently a bike pack with the Panigale, the Harley Davidson Iron 883, which was in theory a pre-order bonus, but apparently it's in the game now, and a Kawasaki Z1000 ABS. So those 3 in a bundle. As always, these bundles more or less minus 20% if you buy them in a bundle. Now we come to the vanity items. Let's take a look at that. Over here you will see it says owned all over the place because I bought all of these things. How did I buy them? I bought them with crew credits. Crew credits is the currency that you can buy them with. Why is it only crew credits? Pretty simple, because you can get them easy in the summit. If you play the summit, silver reward, gold reward, depending a bit on your medal, you will be able to win these things. The higher medal you have, you will get all the prizes. If you get a platinum medal, you will also get the gold rewards and the silver rewards and the bronze rewards. If you only reach gold, you're not going to get the platinum reward, but you will get gold, silver, and bronze. So these tires and smokes and such, most of the time they are under the gold or the silver reward. So pretty easy to get. If you can't wait on all those tires and smokes, because there are quite a few if you go through that list, which we will do quickly, then then of course you can buy it for crew credits. Not that cheap here. If we start here with these things here, these 6 here, they have like a purple square around them, and that's more or less the epic package. And the epic packages, they have like that's where you see these blue lightning smoke and the neon blue tire. Might sound familiar. That's the thing that you saw in the blue storm reveal. Over here you have the golden smoke and the pure gold tire. That is something that you saw in the golden gem reveal. Both of them were trailers. This one with a Ford Focus RS, and this one with a Audi RS5, if I'm not mistaken. The pink one, can't immediately recall a trailer of that. Meanwhile, there might be a trailer out there with something pink, Pink Panther or whatever. I don't know. But these 6 items, they are 56,000 crew credits. 55,999 to be exact. Each of them. So if you want to buy all of them, that's going to cost you about 330,000 crew credits. Or you can just wait till you can get them in the summit. That is also an option. But some people just can't wait. If we go a bit down the list, then you come into the rare packs, which is cheaper. They cost you like 20, 30,000 crew credits on average. It depends a bit on what it is that you want. Over here we see multicolored smoke. All kind of different multicolored smoke to be exact. All kind of different colors. What else do we have here? Spare Hawk semi-slick tires. We have tires which have more or less painted on the wheel itself, or on the outside, or on the inside. All kind of options are possible in all kind of different colors. If we go through them, we have some blue, some yellow, some orange, some purple, some more colored smoke with other color combinations going on. Then we come to the green square items. They are cheaper. They go for the cheapest things, which is the single color smoke, I think. That goes for about 8,000 crew credits up to 12,000, I think. I think these shape smoke, the crown and the bucks and the stars, I think they go for about 12,000. And then it goes down a little bit with 8,000 being the cheapest. These green things, which probably more than likely are going to be things that you find under the silver medal rewards in the summit. And then the gold will be more the rare packs, I'm assuming, and the epic packs will be more than likely under the platinum medal in a weekly summit or something like that. Also here some different colors, fully color tires this time, green, yellow, purple, and so on. Here we have some stripes and some text on it. That's a red Bushimura tire, for instance, is the one I had on the Golf in the garage, and also a single colored smoke. The red smoke I have on the Golf as well, I think. So that is for the vanity items. Now, how does that all look? Well, that's pretty simple. There's only one way to find out. Let's quickly go out and take out my drift pick, on which I have one of these epic items that I put on there. I painted the thing in gold to make it a bit more matching. It has the golden tires on it, and it also has the golden smoke on it. It is a drift car, so for sure it's gonna smoke. It comes with a little bit of ling-a-ling sound. Some sparks coming out of it as well. And the more you like drift with those things, the higher sort of the tires start shining, more or less. And then of course you have a zillion options if you go, for instance, into photo mode. Of course you can always redo whatever it is that you're doing in the last 10 minutes. You can play around with filters a little bit. You can always rewind a little bit till you get like the sparks going. All kind of possibilities. You can zoom out a bit, you can zoom in a bit, you can bring the camera up or down, you can change the filters, all that kind of stuff is happening. You can also have autofocus, which is a new thing. Then it focuses on the automatically on the car on the middle of the screen, and then it will more sort of blunt out the as you can see here, it sort of blurs out the environment behind the car and will put the focus on the car itself. That's also one of those small things that will be coming into the game as a new option. Autofocus. And as you can see now, the ping bar is it's not here. Now to give you an idea of the GPS, how that looks like, pretty simple. We'll quickly put myself here and set a waypoint to there. That is the new GPS line. So the arrows, it is just like in the Crew 1, hanging a bit above the car. Maybe even a bit too low, but once you're racing, it's all in all is very helpful. And it brings you even to where you want to go, in this case, the front door of the HQ. We will see it maybe later if we do take a look on the summit events or so. That's for the, yeah, of course we have that loading thing here again. For the vanity items, you can win them in the summit, or you can just buy them if you can't wait with crew credits. And some people say, yeah, but I want to buy this with bucks, and yeah, you're gonna need your bucks anyway, trust me. Which brings us to the next item. This is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting if you have already all several yellow parts, which one of the reasons why I was emphasizing so on the yellow parts in the last couple of videos that I did. Get the yellow parts, guys. Participate in that live reward because you needed those yellow parts. The spare parts. The spare parts is next to the bucks and the crew credits, more or less a new item or a new currency even coming into the game. What can you buy with that currency is affixes and affix percentages and such things. Which means you can make your perfect car. But it's gonna cost you, if you have a bit bad luck, quite a bit of money. Not gonna lie about it, I'm not a super fan of this system. I rather would have like unlock the parts, and once we have unlocked them, go buy them in a tuner shop like we had in the Crew 1. This system, it might be okay if you have good parts in your car and you just have to recaliber the percentage. I will show you in a second how it all works. And then you might be okay. If you're a new player and you just get like yourself a yellow part here or there and you want to recalibrate that part to the perfect part, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And then we are talking, if you have bad luck to upgrade one car, it can be somewhere between 2 and 5 million bucks. We have 16 disciplines. If you want to upgrade to the perfection a vehicle in every single of those disciplines, yeah, you can do the math. You can buy these things, these spare parts, in packages. This one gives you 2,500. It's the cheapest one. You can be buying this thing for 60,000 bucks or 8,000 crew credits. And if you spend that kind of money, you're gonna get 2,500 spare parts. For 280,000 bucks or 40,000 crew credits, you will be able to buy a 12,500 package, but you get a little bit of bonus, so you get 13,125. That's the rare pack. The epic pack, 560,000 bucks, 80,000 crew credits, will give you 27,500 spare parts. And then we have the legendary pack, the highest available. 57,500 of those spare parts will be yours for 1.1 million bucks or 160,000 crew credits. These packs can be bought either with bucks or with crew credits. Now, do you need these packs? Not necessarily. There is another way to get these spare parts. Meanwhile, it's snowing. Told you, the weather is changing constantly. There is another way to get these things. Let me think about it. I think I have some spare parts on a Formula 1 car or something. This one or the other one. Doesn't matter that much. Not this one. It's not even. Over here somewhere, I think I have some spare parts. Somewhere. Just need to find. There they are. I got 2 blue parts. What is the price that you get from these things? A green part will give you 120 scrap. I call it scrap from the scrap and Recaliber, or spare parts, or scrap points, or whatever you want to call it. I just call it scrap. So let's go for the rest of the video with scrap. A green part will give you 120. A blue part, if we scrap this part, you see it show up here. 240 scrap will show up. If I scrap this one as well, 240 as well. Let's see if we have something else. Here we have another blue part. That's another 240 scrap. And here we have a blue one. That's going to give us 120. And here's another blue one. That's 240. So 360 in total for this one. And that's how you can get them. Next to green and blue, you have the purple. That will give you 480 scrap. And the if you delete one of these yellow parts, it will give you 1200 scrap. For recalibration itself, you don't need that much scrap. It's more about the bugs you're gonna need. That is a bit of a problem. Let's have a look. What do we have here? We have all kind of different yellow parts. I don't have a set. This is not my driver. This is the driver that we got here. We were already lucky that we were having a sort of a thing going. Now, if we go here, that's why I brought back the bugs earlier. Why I brought that up, because I already know what it can do. Where is my drift car? Oh, here it is. Almost skipped it. If we look at the drift car, this thing has been recalibrated and scrapped. I will show you exactly how it works in a second on the Formula 1 car, but this thing is already done. To be able to get this, I basically had a mix of yellow parts, and one or two of them had slippery and hot head on it. The other ones had like either one slippery or one hot head, or none of those 2 bonuses on it. So we had to recalibrate to what we eventually got in here, and that is a hot head 8%, which is the maximum, and a slippery 14. I have the same on all 7 parts. That means I have the perfect setup on this car. That means that the slippery, that means the multiplier goes to 173, and I have a 66% hot head. Or at least that's what I should have, but because we have a low icon, I could only put like 17 points on the slippery, so I'm missing 8 points, so I will have a 165 multiplier if I do a drift event. And I even don't have any points on the hot head here, because there were no points available in this build. Of course, most of us have all these things. Once you are icon 675, you have the pilot icon points here. You will have them all maxed out to 25 points, so you do not have to worry about it. And then, of course, it's only about the parts itself on the cars. And that's where this scrap and recaliber comes into play. So on all of these things, all 7 of them, I can go to this one here, press F9, it's the same. Slippery 14, hot head 8%. To recalibrate this whole car, it costed me about 2 million bucks and about 25,000 scrap. But as I say, from a yellow part you can get 1200 scrap, from a blue part 240, from a purple 480. So the scrap is not a problem. The problem is the bugs. If they actually bring it in the game as it is here, the price for the bugs is a bit too high. As you can see here, this is a maximum recalibration. If I put my here on this pink bar here thing, or orange bar, recalibrate, it says bugs 40,969, scrap 227. The scrap, this is the maximum. This is the maximum you can go. You start your recalibration the very first time with 2,500 bucks and 80 scrap. That is, let's say, a level 1 recalibration. But if you're not getting what you want, then you need to do like second, third, fourth, up to 20 levels, and eventually you come into this one, which is the maximum, 40,000 bucks. And every time you recalibrate on this single part, whether it's this affix or the other affix, it's going to cost you that price. And the problem in general with it is that you have to pay in advance. You pay in advance before you recalibrate, but you don't know if you're going to get a good part or not. You don't know if you're going to get a good percentage or not. So even to keep your part, you have to pay that price. This is going to be, for sure, it's going to help to get your maximum percentages. But on the other hand, especially by new players, this is going to be a very debatable feature. There's no doubt about it. Now, how does it all work? Yeah, I cannot recalibrate this one because there's nothing to recalibrate. That thing has the perfect setup. It has the maximum parts and maximum percentages. So we're going to have to look for something else, which makes it already a little bit difficult because they gave us like some low icon build. This is basically the only car where we could find some yellow parts on. So let's have a look. We have, for instance, we have a score breaker here. Now, the other problem we have is, like I said, I do not have a set here. But let's assume that we want to have this score breaker, but you needed to have the yellow parts. I mentioned this before. We have like we have 4 nitro chemists here, so these 2 loot diggers and this 1 score breaker needs to be replaced with a nitro chemist, and then we would have like a full set of nitro chemist, and then the set is active, and then you can recalibrate the affix to a certain thing that you want. So if we want to do this, let's have a look. What is on here? We have air intake and drag bump. Air intake increases the slipstream detection, the distance of it. Not that important. Rather have shifty and drag bump then. That would make some sense. But we have the nitro chemist. So yeah, we actually want to have something like pure for extra power on the nitro and extra pump to refill it or something like that. Let's see, what else do we have? Over here, we have skilled 10%, which is the maximum part. That's very interesting. Whether it not be, you need to combine that with a score breaker and not with a nitro chemist. In Gold Finder also. So I'm looking for, to do the first one, to have something decent on it, but we don't. Over here we have shifty. You could use that for slipstream. And let's make it pure and shifty or something. So let's recalibrate this part. As you can see, the recalibration over here, 2,500 bucks and 80 scrap. Now there are 2 options. Over here we already have the shifty. Let's say we keep that and we're going to get the maximum percent, and the range of it shows on the part itself. So it says 3% to 8%. So what we're looking for is the shifty with 8%. That's the maximum we can get. We already have 6.3 on it, but yeah, that's not 8%. So let's try to recalibrate that. If you hold this button here, it's gonna recalibrate. Now, what do you get? You get 2 options. Either you get the option, basically you get 3 options. The lower one, the one in the on the bottom of it, it says keep. If you go there, it just keep. If you want to keep that part, which I already see now is something we're gonna have to do, because the second one is lucky, not something I want. I just want to keep the shifty. And then the top one is always going to be the one you have on with a different percentage. But in this case, you already see one of the problems with this thing. It's lower. So we don't want this. We want the higher 8%, or at least something higher than the 6.3 that we have on. So we're just going to go to the bottom one and we're going to keep this. That was recalibration number 1. We got a lower percentage. We did not get the part that we wanted. So we just had to keep it, but we still paid 2,500 bucks and 80 scrap for it. Which brings us to recalibration number 2, and then the price goes up. That's the problem, of course, which is kind of strange because we just paid for something we already had. But yeah, I think you can consider this a bit as a lottery. So recalibrate again. for 2,875 bucks and 84 scrap this time. And we get popular, which is not that interesting, and we get a shifty 4.6%, which is lower than we have. So again, we have to keep it, which makes the price go up to 3,307 bucks and 89 scrap. Let's have a go. Again, the same story, lower percentage, and we get the maximum lucky part as an option to go for with 25.5%. That is the highest you can get. So you get like a super part, but it's not what we want. We want shifty 8%, and basically nothing else. Price goes up to 3,804 and 94 scrap. These prices are, it's not a problem. We're talking about 2,000-3,000 bucks. It's not a problem, but you see this thing going up, and I already mentioned before, the maximum is 40,900. Finally, on top of it, after 3 recalibrations, we find a 6.8%. We have 6.3 on it, so this one is better. Let's select this one, and it immediately replaces it. So we have a higher percentage now, but it's not what we want yet. But at least now we paid for something which gives us a better part. So after 4 recalibrations, we could actually use the thing that we paid for. Now we get the one we have just removed, the 6.3 as an option, so we have to keep it again. Very often you're gonna have to keep your part. Price goes up every time, that is the problem with it. Meanwhile, we are on recalibration number 6 or 7. The price is 5,700 bucks and 110 scrap. And we get a 3%. We basically, what we're doing here is just look at the top one. The second one doesn't interest us because we already have the shifty on it. So we just look, that thing needs to be shifty 8% or 7.4 or something higher at least. So we are going to keep doing this till we have the 8% and see where we end up. 3.5, that's lower, so we keep. Also have to be a bit careful with it that whenever you do the recalibration, the box or your cursor is always on the middle box. So if you want to keep your part, you have to go down one click first before you actually put on or keep your part. Or you go all the way up in case there is a better part there in this situation. What do we have? 5.7. We don't even pay attention to the middle one anymore because we're looking at the top one for now. Here we have the 7.4. We're getting closer to the 8%. So meanwhile, the price went up to 11,600 bucks and 143 scrap. And now we get a 6.8, basically the one we just have removed. And we get a 5.2. And we keep doing that. But yeah, you already get the idea. The price goes up every time. And you have to pay every time in advance. That's the problem. A 5.2. That is also not what we want. 4.1. Meanwhile, we are paying 23,185 scrap to go with that. The scrap is fine. The box price is way too high. You can of course say like, yeah, but I'm fine with 7.4. What does that mean? Maybe not so much on shifty, because yeah, 7.4% or 8% shifty. What does it make the difference? But yeah, of course you have 7 of these parts, and then yeah, it's times 7, so then it already makes a big difference. But meanwhile, we have finally found our shifty 8%, the maximum part that we can get. Put that thing on, problem solved. But as you can see, the price go up now, and it's 40,969 and 227 scrap. So we basically have done 20 recalibrations, because otherwise that price will never come that high. You have like, I can sort of make a schedule if you want, but it goes from 2,500 and it goes up every time a little bit the price. And if you have done 20 levels, then you come to the maximum price of 40,000 and 220 scrap. And that is then, from that moment on, you have to repay it every time. Now, and that's where the problem comes into play. Because now we have that maximum price on this specific part, and we move to the right. On the right, on the second affix, ventilated. We definitely do not want ventilated. We're in a Formula 1 car that refills the nitro during a jump. Now, I know there are some crazy tracks out there, but in general, you don't jump in a Formula 1 car. The thing goes over a racetrack, unless you are doing a live extreme series where you actually have to jump over ramps or something with that thing, but in general, you don't want that. Besides, we have the nitro chemist on it. We want to get some pure here. So we're gonna recalibrate, but this time we do not start with the minimum price because we're still working on that same part, on that same nitro chemist part. We have to pay the same price. So from this moment on, hopefully, we get the pure as fast as possible, because otherwise 40,000 bucks every single time. We have ventilated, as always. It gives you the same thing as you have on with a different percentage, but I don't want that. So what we are going to do now is we're going to concentrate on this middle one, which is more or less the affix changer. That's how you have to look at it. The middle of the tree is the affix changer. The top one is the percentage changer, and the one on the bottom is the part that you want to keep if needed. That's the one that you have, more or less. Drag bump is potentially something you could combine with Shifty if you're on a drag car, but not on a Formula 1 car, not advisable. So we're just gonna keep, because what we want to see here is we're gonna look for pure, which is nitro power, and we're gonna look for that thing over here. You can also go for extra pump, which refills the nitro, is also a possibility. But we will see what we get first and maybe go with that one. That might also be an option. Till we get that here in that second thing, we're just gonna keep every time. But we're gonna have to pay 40,000 bucks every time. So we keep this one, recalibrate again. Now we get Gold Finder. Don't worry about the top one this time. This time we are focusing on this middle one. We want to get something decent there that we can actually use. Popular is not the one that we want. Lucky, also not the one that we want. So now I've done like resourceful. No. Now we have done 5 recalibrations, and I still did not get anything that I could use, but I did pay about 200,000 bucks and about 1,000 scrap. That I find something very strange, that you have to pay for whatever it is that you keep. We have been meanwhile negotiating with the devs to try to at least not charge us when we keep the part, but yeah, I guess that's the price of the lottery. We will see what they do with it, but air intake, it could help you increase the slipstream distance, and we have slipstream with the shifty, but that's not what I want. I want pure. It's as simple as that. So I have to go recalibrate till I find pure. That now we get rich. Of course, there are a bunch of these affixes out there, so you can already imagine if you have bad luck. What is this here? This is the nitro power increases frenetic while in use. So while you're using nitro, but that thing, the problem with that is it can only go to 3%, is the maximum. So I prefer to get pure or extra pump. Pure can go to 8% and extra pump can go to 10%. Normally, if this was my own build and I have a nitro chemist set on it, I go for pure and extra pump as 2 affixes. But now on the left one we are shifty here, so I just put that one on now. But let's see how long this is gonna go. We get another gold finder. That's all very interesting. Now we get rear drag. It's even more interested. If you want it, it's all fine, eh? But that's not what I want. I haven't seen pure or extra pump here yet. I think I've meanwhile done about 10. So we are down to 410,000 bucks that we just paid for, basically for keeping our own part, more or less. That's what it is. Skilled, very interesting. That's for skill test. That is for score breaker, not for nitro chemist. We got another skilled, very interesting. And we got another skilled. And now we got popular. I think you get the idea. We don't get pure, but we have extra pump, which refills the nitro. So if we use our nitro, it will refill way faster. So I'm guessing we have to go by now we have to go by this, because I've done like about 10, 15, maybe even 20 recalibrations. I spent like 600 to 800,000 bucks already, and I did not have anything yet. So we're gonna have to put this extra pump on. We will see what we get next. It is still possible that we get like a pure, and you get, for instance, you get the maximum part for 10%. Yeah, then you just pick that one. If not, now we have to take in consideration both of the options, because if we recalibrate now, we have an extra pump 7.7. It can go to 10%, or we might also get in the middle a pure 8%, for instance, which we do not know. We don't get anything. We get a lucky, which we don't need, and we get an extra pump with a lower percentage, which we don't need. So again, we pay 40 bucks just to keep our part. I think you already get the idea why I'm not a fan of this. You're basically pressing some buttons in a menu. Meanwhile, you are not doing anything else. Now here I have the choice. Because they give me the choice for two maximum parts. Frenetic, it gives us a power increase while in use. While you're using the nitro, it gives you a 3% increase. And that is the maximum part. Or we can say, no, I want 10% extra refill, extra pump, the refill, we can get that. That is also the maximum part. So we don't get like an 8.4 or a 9.2 or something like in that in between. We immediately get like the top part. So we will put that one on. And we sort of have recalibrated one part. This joke costed us quite a bit here to get the 8% already. That's why the price went up there so high. And over here, yeah, it costed us, I think, somewhere between 15 and 20 recalibrations on maximum price to get it at 10%. So that's for this one part. Yeah, I haven't done the math on it, but I think we can clearly assume that we are somewhere between $1 million and $1,200,000 bucks. Don't have to worry so much about the scrap. Like I say, you pay 220 maximum every time. That's fine. As I also said, we have been giving feedback as much as we can about this. Hopefully, by the time that this thing comes in tomorrow, they have brought the price down a bit, especially the box price. If not, yeah, you see what it's going to cost you. So I cannot, not in a million years, agree with this thing, with this feature, because I don't see myself having a problem with this, because I have been grinding in the Christmas event, in the Eastern event. I have yellow parts, I have yellow sets going. In many of these things, I already have at least one affix in combination with the set bonus that is more or less correct. So if I have to recalibrate on my main driver, I'm just going to have to do a few recalibrations. They probably will be very cheap, just to get that highest percentage, because I already have the right part on it. Occasionally, I might have to change an affix and pay for the max percentage. But I have the set going and everything is going for me, so I doesn't like gonna take that much money, and it's also not gonna take that long. If you're a new player, on the other hand, and you have a bunch of random parts which are not really matched yet, maybe you didn't even figure this out yet, that these affixes really count a lot. And the whole thing of this is that all this counts in the upcoming summit. It's not like PvP where the affix is not active. In the summit, the active will be active. So affix is going to be very important in the summit, especially in things like the monster truck. If we go to the monster truck, also there they decided to give us a few of these parts. There they are. Now over here, also here, they did not decided to give us a set which is active. They gave us some nitro, some score breaker, a sniffer is on it, a magnet is on it, all kind of crap. But the only thing that we want is on probably one of the best parts out there is this thing. As you can see also here, the recalibration price is on the maximum because I have recalibrated this part already. and it also took me to the maximum price before I actually got it. I got a score breaker, which doubles the amount of points in skills. I got a skilled 10%, which gives me 10% more scoring in skills. That is the maximum, the 10%. And I got a gifted 10%, which gives me 10% more scoring in monster truck events. So I am ready for the monster truck arena, and I am ready in case I have to do a skill test with a monster truck. Then I can use this car. If I don't need to do a skill test with a monster truck, then of course you can replace this with something like Pure and Nitro Chemist in combination with the gifted. You always need the gifted on a monster truck because that gives you 10% more scoring in a monster arena. 10% might not be much, but never forget we have 7 parts on this thing. That's 70% more scoring. And from the pilot icon menu over there, this thing here, you can also get an extra 10% if you put 25 points on gifted. That will also be 10%. So that's a total of an 80% increase. If you do a 10,000 point run, you will actually, because of the 10% from the pilot and because of the 70%, if you put this part on all 7 of here, you get like 70% plus 10 is 80% extra. So that's 18,000 points you can score with that same run that you, without any of these parts, will only score 10,000 points. Let's see, do we have anything else here? Now, but of course you already see it here. Do we have another score breaker? Yeah, over here. Over here we also have a score breaker. So if I open that thing up, I have skilled and I have gifted on it. Both of them are 10%. So also this one is recalibrated. But here you see the difference already. This one had the score breaker, and I think it had the gifted on it, and it had like 8.8% or something. I recalibrated that thing, and it immediately gave me the gifted 10%. So that costed me 2,500 bucks and 80 scrap to recalibrate that thing to 10%. Then I moved to there. It took me 1 or 2 goes to get the skilled. I had the skilled, and it took me 1 or 2 goes to get the skilled 10%. Which means that the price for this recalibration at this moment in time is at 3,800 bucks and 94 scrap. So this was a pretty cheap recalibration, giving me this. So it is not always going to be that top price of 40,000 that you're going to have to pay. If you're a bit lucky with this, you can get away cheap. As in this case, I paid 2,500, 2,800, 3,300. So I did like 3, and then the 4th time I had to pay like 3,800, and I had my part that I wanted. Score breaker, skill 10, gifted 10. So also here, the problem here that we have in this build here is that all the rest is more or less crap. Because we want score breaker, skilled, and gifted, that most and forward means that we need the score breakers. But I don't have any score breakers here, because they only gave us a mix of parts. On my main driver, of course, I already have these sets going. I am prepared for this. I am prepared for the summit. I am prepared for this because I knew it was coming. Meanwhile, everybody else finally knew it was coming because they announced it all on a couple of days ago already. So you can still have chance to find all these sets and such. So I'm not going to recalibrate any of these other parts. Like for instance, this one. It's not a bad party. It has gifted 10%, it has pure 8%, and it has nitro chemist on it. So also these are maxed out and they are recalibrated. But also here you see the recalibration price is at 40,000 bucks. So for this recalibration, it took me quite a while. I just did it to more or less show what is possible. If you don't want to do skill tests, or if you don't need to do skill tests in the summit with a monster truck, you can more than likely put this part on it. You have some extra nitro power. You have the nitro chemist, which doubles the duration. You get like a double box of nitro, so you have more nitro to play around with, and you can score 10% more in the monster truck arenas. So if you put like 7 of these parts on your monster truck, you're good to go for the monster truck event as well. So also this is an option for that. That was yeah, a pretty long explanation on the recalibration, but I'm not a fan of it. That is very clear. It will work out just fine for seasonal players who already have a bunch of yellow parts, already have like certain affixes on it that they want to have on it, so they only have to recalibrate for the percentages. Will not cost them that much, so that's not going to be a problem. A new player who has some bunch of random parts, green, yellow, blue, purple, he first of all needs to get a hand of all the yellow parts, preferably with a set active, and then he can only start recalibrating. And then he's going to have to pay this amount of bucks for a new player. If you have bad luck, it's costing you somewhere between 2 and 5 million to recalibrate one car. There are 16 disciplines out there. If you want to recalibrate one vehicle in each of these 16, it's going to cost you somewhere between 30 and 80 million bucks. How on earth is a new player who just came into the game, who does not have bucks, how on earth is he going to pay for this all? This is just, it's an invitation for mothers. It's an invitation for money hackers. That is exactly what you're going to see happen here if you keep this thing up and if you do not lower these bucks prices. That's the only thing I can say about it. Other than that, we'll see how it goes when it is in the game. As I say, we have yellow sets. I'm not too worried about it, but I also speak in name of the community as a representative in the TPC, and I think you have to consider new players as well. You also need to give them a chance in the summit, and they need to be able to recalibrate. Not with these prices, not in a million years. They might be able to recalibrate one car after a long time if they do a couple of long hypercar races or so. Which brings us to the summit. The summit, here is where the place is. You can get here by just walking into the HQ, or you can get here through the activities menu. If you go into the menu, you have activities, you have the live battle, and underneath you have the summit. You can fast travel any place because eventually it's gonna take you here. It's gonna put you here. So you can as well. You can go to the orange bus. You can go through the menu to the daily contracts. You can go to the PvP tent, which is up there. That is all possible. Talking about the PvP, also their community lists will come into play. They already more or less introduced our tracks to you guys, but not the full list yet, because they just used our tracks and they put them in their mixed lists or whatever it is that they did. That meant that the collisions were on and all that kind of thing. In most of our lists, community lists created by the community, that's a list from myself, from Vertical and Black Lotus. Those lists that you already saw, they will come back. Next to that, links have been sent out to people as well on Discord, Reddit, the Crew Social, the Facebook page. All of them had gotten a different link. Next to that, also a private link has been given to community competitive players. And they all could vote on certain tracks, on certain events, and so on. And from those votes on those different links, they're going to make some extra playlists. That also means that there are 4 or 5 extra playlists coming into the play with the ones that we already have. Sort of 9, 10 different playlists, and they're going to put that also in a community playlist. So it will be one of those 10 will be up and running whenever the community playlist is up and running. And as far as I know, that will be every Saturday and every Wednesday. Other than that, that also means that they're going to reduce the Destruction Derby rotation. People know about it right now, and you don't need to do Destruction Derby every 2 days anymore. That is just not possible. And it's very annoying for those who don't like Destruction Derby. Every 2 days there is only the Street and the Destruction Derby available. That is a bit of a problem for some people. So there's going to come more variety within the PvP playlists as well. And of course, if it is community playlist, in most of them the collisions will be off this time because they're going to implement the playlist as we have made them. not just our tracks on their list or something like that, as they've been doing in the last couple of weeks. That brings us to the last subject, but yeah, that's probably going to be another half an hour to 3/4 of an hour. The summit. Let's go in there. You come to this screen on which you already see quite a few things. First of all, on the left, you see the current summit. In this case, in this build, it is called the Flying Germans. I'm not exactly sure when this summit will be actually happening. It's not going to be happening in the update. It's also not going to be happening this month. It's so this probably is more than likely the June summit or the July summit or something like that. We will see. What you can see here is for this summit, you see the rewards. As it says here, rewards Flying Germans. If you reach in the whole summiting bronze, you get a fame pack. 100,000, 50,000 followers. That is to help you level up a bit faster. If you reach the silver medal, it's gonna give you the yellow tire, which is common, but on the other hand, if you don't win it here, you're gonna have to pay 8,000 crew credits for it. So this is a reward worth 8,000 crew credits. Over here we have a legendary set. With the recalibration being there, I think this is pretty much one of the best rewards you can get outside of the fact that you can win cars. Because you're gonna get a full active set. In this case, a score breaker set. You're gonna get a score breaker set on all 7 of your parts. So the set will be active. And then of course, yeah, it gives you, what is this here? Slipstream, shifty, and drag bump. Which is not that interesting with a score breaker. With score breaker you want skilled. But then of course, if you have that set for your Alpha GP, you can always recalibrate and make it one of those two a skilled. So that you can get more points from a slalom or something that you can do with your Alpha GP. Because it's not just any legendary set, it's a legendary set for the Alpha GP in this case. And there is our Porsche Cayman GT4 Wasp edition, as I showed earlier in the beginning of the video. I sort of tried to replicate it in HQ because this is the reward for the Flying Germans, is the Porsche Cayman GT4 Wasp edition. It has a bit of livery thing going on, which I could of course try to replicate. But you have like some side wings here, some other bumpers as well, I think, which you cannot replicate. So it's a special edition, just like the Mitsubishi Evo 10 Red Fury edition. So those are the special editions. But it can also be a completely new car, as there, that we will see in the next coming months. Why do I know that this is a monthly summit? Because we win a car at the end of it all. And that's not the case in the weekly summits. What we are going to have a look at is on this one. Because on the bottom row here, what do you see here is the upcoming calendar. April 24th, May the 1st, Polar Rush. That means when the update goes live, this summit will be active. May the 1st till May the 8th, the Rising Sun. Also here, of course, if I put it on the Polar, you can see the rewards here. We get some star-shaped smoke. We have a customization pack for the Ferrari 812. That means you're going to get some rims, some bumpers, or maybe even all of them. I don't know. We will see when it is there. And then the Platinum Neon Pink tire, which is a 56,000 crew credits reward in the Platinum medal. That's more or less a weekly summit. There you cannot win any new car. I do say new car because I'm not saying you're not going to be able to win any car. Sometimes you get existing cars. In case you don't have it, always convenient. Then we go to the Rising Sun, and that's where our Evo 10 Red Fury edition comes in. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 10 Red Fury can be won in the week from May the 1st till May the 8th. At least according to this calendar. I'm assuming that this is the calendar that will also come into the live build, into the game, in other words. So that means that in the beginning of the month, we will have the monthly summit. 200,000 followers for bronze. Silver medal will give you red smoke and the followers. The gold medal will give you a very good part. Drift, hot hat, slippery, boat with a score breaker. The score breaker is not that doesn't matter that much. What does matter is the hot hat slippery. Both of them are the parts that you want for your drift. So then you only thing you need to recalibrate, if you don't get the max percentage as it is, then you only need to recalibrate the percentages, not the FX itself, because you already get both of them on the part. If you get a full set of those, which is the case normally, you get 7 of the 7 exactly same parts. So score breaker with slippery and hot hat on it, perfect part for drift. And then of course the platinum is the Mitsubishi. If you do win the platinum medal, you get the car, you will get the set, the smoke, and the followers. So you get the whole thing here. If we go to 8 and 15 May here, Off the Beaten Path, some other choices of awards here, but this is a weekly, because in the platinum there's no car, there's no new car. So you're gonna get some other rewards. We get some followers, we get a package of 4,200 scrap. We get a Bart 124 Rallycross car, in case you do not have that. It's a free car in such a way, if you look at it like that. If you already do have that car, I'm not sure what they're going to do. They're probably going to give you some other reward, or give the equivalent in bucks or something to you. We will see how it goes. And the platinum is the multicolor smoke rare. Rare is 20,000 to 30,000 crew credits if you want to buy it. So all very interesting rewards, especially the monthly ones are the one to go for, because there you can win the cars. On the other hand, you also get that legendary set, which is also very important, especially now with the summit. Now let's have a look on the one which is important for you guys, because it's the first summit. Now I cannot go into the events, but I can give you a pretty much an idea on how it goes. There are a few things that you can see here. For instance, you have these symbols on all of these 9 tickets here. You see all these symbols, and they sort of give you the circumstances in which the event will take place. Over here you sort of see like a half moon. In other words, it will be nighttime. Not that it matters that much, because as we all know, the nights are not that dark in here. But still, it's nighttime. Or this one is full sunshine, so that's definitely daytime. Over here we have the sun sort of going under. In other words, sunset or sunrise is also a possibility, of course. So it's either going to be very early in the morning or very late in the evening. And next to that, on all of these, you see like some sort of sparkling thing, snowflake symbol. In other words, this polar rush, the name more already suggests it, most of this will take place in the snow. Most of the event, at least. So the event itself, we have 3 skill tests. This one is an escape in the off-road family, so that's probably going to be starting somewhere in the woods. That does not necessarily mean that you will be able to do this or have to do this with a rally rate or whatever. That's a bit the problem that I have with the skill test, is there is no restriction. We have these families here, orange, pink, yellow or blue. Why not restrict it at least to the families? That would mean that, for instance, that orange escape skill test, you could do it with rally rate, rallycross, motocross, or what's the fourth discipline? Hovercraft, I think. So that would be a possibility. But no, at this moment they have no restrictions, which means people are doing this with track cars, Formula 1 cars. It's a bit of an old sore coming back from the Crew 1, and there are many people out there who actually stopped playing summits because of that. Because every week you have 3 skill tests, and everybody was doing it in a drag car, or some people were fed up with that. Some people were fed up of using the drag car every week in, week out. And now, especially in this game, keyboard controller, not that easy to control the drag cars. In the crew one, we had wheel settings. We do not have those now. So it's only going to be in the benefit of the wheel drivers. They can handle the drag cars, everybody else, not really. Only in a straight line, but not in a slalom or so, where those people also use drag cars. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have more variety here with these disciplines. Like for instance, that second one, yeah, good luck doing that one with the drag car because it's an aerobatic skill test. That's somewhere up in the air. So over here, you obviously cannot use an aerobatic. But seeing it has no restriction, it doesn't necessarily need to be an aerobatic. It can also be an air race plane, which obviously is faster than the aerobatics. Also there, different family. Air race is pro racing. Although this is a pink skill test, it should be restricted to the aerobatics only. That's my opinion on it. All in all, I'm very happy that this summit is back, but I do have a problem with the skill test not being restricted. Also here, a speed trap. It's yellow family. So that means street race, drift, hypercar, and drag. So yeah, for sure, people were going to do that with a dragster. But even if it was from another family, people would still do it with a dragster. Now, in a technical test or so, we could play this thing. I can already tell you now, it's not going to be that easy because there is like a sharp corner just before the camera, and it's not going to be easy to make that with a dragster. So you might have to come up with something else, and then people already grab again to pro racing family instead of street racing, although it is a yellow skill test. You will see people doing this with Formula 1 cars. It comes the closest to the drag car speed wise, at least at that specific speed trap. So you will see people do it with a drag car. You will see people use a Formula 1 car. You will even see people attempting to get the camera going, falling out of the sky with an airplane. Stuff like that is something you will see there in that speed trap. Why? Because they didn't make a restriction on it. In general, these skill tests, just do like you do with all the other events. Restrict it not just to a family, to one specific discipline. Make that speed trap with street race and hypercars only, and you have no people using planes and dragsters and Formula 1 cars and all these things. Make that aerobatic only aerobatic as it should be, and you don't see people using air race planes. And here the escape, I already can tell you now, the top scores in that technical test were set with a hypercar or something. Jaguar CX-75 or whatever it was. I saw on the skill test itself in free roam, on that specific one, I saw records were set with the dragster on the skill scoring, not in the technical test, but just in the game, because afterwards I checked it in the normal game. I saw the records there are set with a dragster. Although it is somewhere in the mountains, it starts somewhere on a rocky area in the grass. You have to go through the trees, but not so far from that is a asphalt road. So people try to survive with the dragster in the beginning, and once they hit the road, they actually can drive. So the skill test, not a fan of it, as it is set up now. Just having a look here. Then we have, so what do you need? Let's have a look on that. We will go in a second in the current summit and do some events, but just the rest of these events, except for those 3 skill tests, you have like 6 other events. And those more or less are every week the same structure. You will have 4 events on existing tracks. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a time attack or anything. That can also be a drift event, a monster arena, an aerobatic skill scoring thing. So that's with scoring. It's not always with time. It's sometimes with scores as well. That's why the gifted and the magnificent and so are very important, because you're going to have to use some scoring skills as well here and there. In this case, it's a street which has what I call a level 1 restriction, and that means that it is just restricted to one discipline, in this case street race. Other than that, there is no restriction. So that means you can use all your street race cars. The same goes for the drift event. You can use, the restriction is level 1. That means drift, whatever car you have as drift, you can use it. And the same goes for the rally raid event. The difference there being that the rally raid event is a new event. Because with those 6 other events next to the skill test, 4 of them are existing tracks, 1 is a new track. In this case, that will be the rally raid. And 1 will be the super event that is always that big ticket there. Come to that in a second. And that's sort of how it goes. And of course, they have been concentrating the last couple of weeks with the street race, adding new events for 3 hypercars, 3 drag races, and 23 street race they have added in the last couple of weeks, preparing to the summit. In the summit itself, if they come up with new tracks, it more than likely will be all the other disciplines. I already saw a new touring car. I already saw the new rally raid. So yeah, all kind of disciplines, all kind of new events will appear every week. One in the summit. It comes into the summit, and then of course afterwards it will obviously be in game as well to play as a event on the map. So that is more or less the, let's say, the restriction 1 events. Then you have restriction 2, and restriction 2 is also restricted to a discipline, but on top of that it is also restricted to a certain team or a certain country or a certain continent or a certain brand or stuff like that. In this case, both of them are restricted to brand. The powerboat event on top there is only Proto, so you can only use the Proto Offshore Mark 1 or the Proto Mark 2, but not any of your other powerboats. You cannot use the Vector, or you cannot use the Frausner or something like that. Only Proto for that event. For the super event here, the same story. It's Alpha Grand Prix, and you can only use the Red Bull. So you cannot use the Proto Alpha Mark II. Something like that. So only the Red Bulls are available, 13, 14, and the Disruption Edition. So that's like more or less a level 2 restriction. And then you have a level 3 restriction, and that is pretty much, it has to be done with that vehicle in that discipline. And that is, in this case, the Air Race P51 Mustang Strega. So in case you do not have that car, you better get it, because from tomorrow you're going to need it in this Air Race event. Because you need that vehicle for this specific thing. So that is sort of what's coming. So you need a Proto Powerboat, you need a Red Bull Alpha GP, you need the P51 Mustang Strega. Other than that, you can use all your rally raid cars, you can all use your drift cars and your street race cars. And in the skill tests, you need a plane, aerobatics or air race, and the other ones, yeah, you can basically use all your vehicles. That's for the upcoming summit. Now, let's have a look on this one. The one that we are playing here in this build is the Flying Germans, which of course is something that will come later on in a couple of weeks or months. This summit will actually come into the game, so that already gives you a pretty good idea what we are doing here. Here we have also here 3 skill tests. In this case, there are 3 escape skill tests. Now, the first one is pretty much okay, because it is an escape skill test and it takes place on the water. Of course, you can use all your water vehicles, but yeah, a hovercraft or a jet sprint is never going to be as fast as a powerboat, which, with a little bit of luck, makes that this escape skill test is actually, in a way, a restricted one, because it says Blue Family and we are restricted to the powerboats in a way, because that's the fastest that you use there, and that's all fine. That is all fine. The other 2, on the other hand, is a bit of a different story, because yeah, if we look here in the leaderboard, overall leaderboard, let's have a look. Oh yeah, well, it's the same, more or less the same as the French leaderboard, or it's all the same every time. That's also possible. We will see. This is the overall leaderboard for this skill test at this moment in this build. 19 players have ranked. We have some more players here, but apparently all of them are doing the event here. So what are we seeing here is all blue family. Powerboat, powerboat, powerboat. So pretty much like it should be. Why are we using airboats here and not a Proto Offshore Mark 1 or a Frausner or whatever of those fast boats out there? Pretty simple. This is a test build. We didn't have the boats. We didn't have parts in our boats. So we have to grind a little bit to upgrade them ourselves, which also means that this leaderboard is more or less based on, you can see it here from the 6th place. Huayra has 172 boat, G4 is 174, GoPro Amex 177, I have 185, Accor has 190, and Krugnu has 200. Upgrade your boat and you go a few meters further in the escape. These boats are not fully upgraded, so we cannot test the full competition within the summit because none of our vehicles are upgraded. Escape here, yellow family it says. If we go look on the overall leaderboard, let's have a quick look. There you go. Numbers 1 and 2, very familiar. Huayra and GoPro IMAX. Very often 1 and 2 in the summit in the crew 1 as well. They're just like, yeah. That's what you have with these leaderboards. You will very often see the same names appear because that's what it is. Those were like the top of the bill summit players. And they also have been invited to this technical thing here, or to this preview, whatever you want to call it. The first two, in a way, is correct because it is a yellow speed trap, and they both use a yellow family. But yeah, they also both use a wheel, as far as I know, or at least they can use a wheel. Sometimes they play with controller or keyboard, but they can use a wheel. But the fact is, they are using a drag car. This specific escape tests in the middle of Los Angeles. It starts in the spillway, and then you can take a jump on the highway and you take off. And so then you can do like, yeah, you already get the idea. First place is 127,000 meters. That basically means that's 127 kilometers that he has driven in the drag car. Over here, 94, 72,000. The third place is Pro Race family. Although it is a yellow skill test, he used the Formula 1 car just as most of us did. And then 72 kilometers. I drove about 21 kilometers. G-force 20 kilometers. So basically we're going around the map in some sort of vehicle which is super fast and that keeps away from that escape red thing that is following you. And yeah, the more further you go, the harder that thing takes out to take it eventually to 128 kilometers. So by the looks of it, if I think about it, Huayra probably drove from Los Angeles to the most east point that he could get, somewhere to the Niagara Falls or so, before the red circle actually catched up with him. Because that's more or less all the way over the map. So yeah, we need some restrictions on here. That's pretty close. This one is even worse. It's orange family. It should be off-road. If we take a look on the leaderboard, the first two again, as I already expected, they do everything with a drag car. Also us, the rest of us, we used a Red Bull of some sort. In other words, we used a Formula 1 car. If I go down a bit, yeah, the first guy that shows up here with an actual orange family vehicle is Daniels, aka Vertical 21. And he shows up here with a score of 83,000 points, driving 4,350 meters. 4,350 meters. 6,000 meters I got, 6,500, 6,700, 8,600, 8,800 meters. So that's basically double as far as if you would use an actual orange vehicle. In other words, orange family vehicle. Rally raid, rally cross, motocross, you might be able to, through the trees, get a bit further away because, make no mistakes, this thing starts somewhere on a dirt road in the middle of a forest But also here there just happened to be an asphalt road not that far of it, which means if you can survive the first part, make some jumps here and there, you can get to that asphalt road and you actually escape on the road till the circle catches up with you. So yeah, which brings us back to what I was complaining about a bit earlier. These skill tests need to be restricted. A whole lot of explanation, but that's what it comes down to. Restrict them to at least to the family. If it's an orange skill test, make it so that orange is the way to go. That's the main problem that I have with the whole summit structure, is the skill test needs to be restricted. Because other than that, it's pretty much okay. Over here we have a level 1 restriction, meaning certain discipline you can use all your vehicles. In this case, a powerboat. Over here we have in a way a level 2 restriction. We can only use rally rate and you can only use BMW bikes. The fact is there is only one BMW bike in rally rate in the game, which more or less makes it a level 3 restriction, but it's okay. Over here we also have a different sort of level 2 restriction. In that way it's touring car only, and it's only German touring cars. That's sort of how it is. And then the rest is a level 3 restriction, meaning specific discipline, specific car. In this way, street race, Golf GTI. In the hypercar event, it is a Porsche 918 Spider, and over here in the super event, it's a Porsche 959 rally rate. Only those vehicles can be used in those specific events. Now the super event, the big ticket here is, that's why they call it the super event, is you take a certain vehicle and you throw it over a track of another discipline. In this we have the Porsche 959 rally rate, but we actually going to take it over one of the rallycross tracks on the ski jump there. So that is for this. For next week it's the Alpha GP, and you will take it over a street race. So you're going to take a Formula 1 car over a street race event for the live build. Whenever the update comes live, that is what you will see. That's the first thing you need to do in the super event. In this case, as you can see, it's more off-roading. And what is the new event? The new event is the touring car. It takes you, as I mentioned before, every summit there will be a new track. Well, this is the new track. It's not a racetrack. It's actually, you take out your touring car on the highway, out on the map. But yeah, they decided to give a little twist on it. And yeah, you can either be for or con. Definitely con. Let's have a look on that one first. As you can see, you can only use all kind of German vehicles, whichever is in your garage. There are more German vehicles, but this is more or less what they gave us. Of course, they also gave us enough bucks so we can buy whatever we want, but in this case, we just use the Porsche. All of these things that they gave us are pretty much stock, so we can only use the one we have some parts on it, which is this one in my case. The new touring car event. Be prepared for some ramp surprises. Interesting, they took it off the track. Very interesting. Unfortunately, they also put some high ramps all over the place. So yeah, you already get the idea of this thing. Because as a competitive player, this is like, of course, what is this? Kids probably gonna love this. Competitive players are gonna say like, really? Where are the cuts? Where can we get next to the ramp? And then you have this happening. You sorta get the ramp, you try to get next to it, just don't make it. Also here, there's a footpath. Why would I take a jump and lose all my speed? Over here it becomes a bit difficult. Have to be a bit off-roading here, but the track on itself, not that bad. Whether it not those crazy ramps there. I mean, it's not one ramp, 1, 3 jumps, whatever. No, but like 15 or 20 of these things here. Totally do not understand this one. From a competitive aspect, from a competitive view, this is, yeah. Majority of the competitive players are probably gonna say, "What is this kid's trash?" I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Over here, look at this big one. You can jump over the bridge, but you lose so many time in the air there, and all your speed will be gone as well. You will still lose some time and some speed trying to get around these ramp things, but still, it's gonna be faster than hanging in the air for like 20 minutes. Like here, let's not go around it. You can go around it, but look at this. I lose about 150 kilometers an hour and I'm hanging there for like 2-3 seconds. Of course, yeah, like here you have no other choice. You have to go over a bridge and they have put the ramp on that bridge. Some of these ramps you have no other choice than to take it. Here you can zigzag through 2 of them. Here, yeah, you come off that bridge, you have to take it, and then they put 2 of them. So even if you try to avoid them, you're still gonna have to take 2 of them, no matter what. But other than that, it's a highway track through the forest areas. It's pretty twisty here and there. It's a pretty interesting track if they would just take out these ramps. But yeah, we'll see what they do. More than likely just bring it as it is because it's made, but it's not immediately in the game yet, so they can still take those ramps out if they want, before they bring this summon. But that sort of also gives you an idea. I do a 310 here now, which is worth 78,000 points. That's 19 seconds faster than my fastest time, which also means it's not good enough. My fastest time on this track, let's have a look. My fastest time is at 2.50, 2 minutes 50, and it gives me a score of 109,349 points. So, which is a very good thing in the Crew 2 summit compared to the Crew 1 is that transparency. It all makes sense. You have a time or you have a score in a skill test or in a certain event, and that is converted into a summit score, summit points. You see these points, you know what's going on, you can see these points in all of these events, you know what is going on. If you complete all 9 events, the bar here on the bottom will fill with like, has 9 of these green square things, and if it fills up, you get 100,000 points bonus. Which in the overall ranking of this all, you will get a certain ranking. This is the overall ranking. You can take a look on this. You have, as always, Huayra and GoPro very often on 1 and 2. They are also here 1 and 2. You have Crew GNU, Accor, RaceMasterDave, G-Force, Recaliber, all familiar. If you're familiar with the Crew 1, you should be familiar with those names because those were people that were often in the top 5 of the summits. You see all these scores, and then you can go from there. In this case, I was 3rd here yesterday or so. Now I'm dropped to 5th, and then I can take a look what is going on here. Okay, so I have a core above me with 128 and 1.220 for Crew GNU. The other 2 are too fast to begin with and too far away from me as well. These 2, on the other hand, I might even be able to get. I have like, I'm 11,000 points behind a core and about 13,000 points behind GNU. So then you might be able to get them, but that's where the transparency of this point system comes into play. So to get to a core, I need to get 11,000 points. So how do you do that? You go into the escape and you bring up the leaderboard and see what is going on. He has a few meters more than me. He has like 900 points more than me. So yeah, I need 11,000 points. These 900 points here, it's not gonna do much, is it? If we go into this escape, a core has 5,000 points here. So here I could do a few more meters, but yeah, you can see he drove like about 50 kilometers further down the road than me. So he's just like one corner or so where I got caught up by the red circle and he got away there. And then you have a long highway to the east. You know exactly what's happening there. If you can get away out of that corner where the red circle caught up with me, you can keep on driving till Detroit or Chicago or New York probably. Although the thing starts in Los Angeles. So I have a possibility here to score some extra points to try to catch up. Let's have a look here. Here a core is even behind me, 3,000 points. So that means that I don't need to worry too much about these escape tills. I can score 5,000 points here, but he has 5,000 more here. I have 3,000 more here. So all in all, there are like in those escape things, there are 2,000 points that I can play around with. But I need 11,000 points. So that's not where the problem is. You go into the hypercar. I am oh wait a minute. First in the friends list. I am second in the overall leaderboard in this thing. So also here it's not a problem. A core is 3 seconds slower, but also here there's only like 2,000 points in it. So the problem needs to be somewhere else. Powerboat. There we have like 0.3 of a second difference. 300 points difference in all of this. Also here, not have to worry about it. The rally rate. Here I have 1,000 points that I can, if I do 2 seconds faster time, I can gain 1,000 points. I have some possibilities here. But there's gotta be some event where there is a bigger difference. Here, for instance. I have 118,000 points here. And he has 124,000 points. So, it's not even the overall. That's the overall. So over here, there's like 6,000 points difference. But then I need to get to a 243. He has a Golf 234 level. I'm doing it with a Golf 226. So I need to do a few runs on that thing, get some better parts, and try to get a faster time. And but that's where the transparency comes in. It's all pretty easy to detect. Over here, you're like 6,000 summit points behind. You need a faster time here. That's what this thing is telling me. If we look at the touring car, it's probably the same. Not really, because also here, yeah, there is like 2,000 points in it. So yeah, not that interesting. So I mainly have to improve that thing there, the street race. And here also here is 600 points difference. So I need to find my 11,000 points a bit all over the place. So compared to him, I need to improve my street race, and I need to do a way longer escape test to get more points there as well. Let's have a look on the street race, which is a level 3 restriction. That means don't have to worry about picking a car, because it's that car and that car only. There you go. We can only use this thing, which comes with a level 229 at the moment. So we need to win some parts here before I can actually get faster times.
3, 2, 1.
Oh. Might also help if you shift. Fortunately, there is a shortcut there. That is something. Checkpoint placement. Especially on tracks like the motocross and so, they need to... I think the whole motocross needs to be reviewed, to be honest. Because people are also driving more next to the ramps than actually taking the jumps, which is the whole idea of the motocross track to begin with. Front wheel drive car, bit understeering. Did something by the looks of it that doesn't reset that fast, so they're probably looking into it on those kind of things. Or it's just because of this build that's also wrong. 258. Yeah, I'm not doing this obviously for a fast run. I'm just running these to get some parts. I got 3 parts out of it. Because yeah, that is the other thing on this build. Been driving around here for a while. I couldn't really find any live boxes or anything. Just that one which you saw as a new player in the beginning get acquainted with, the one in Las Vegas there. On the pyramid, a green box on the parking lot. That's the only box that I saw. So I don't think that the live reward things are actually happening on this build. Now, how do you do this? We want some parts. You can press F10, which takes you to the main menu. So you can get here, and then you are restricted to certain things here. You have the pilot available, you have the roster available, you have vehicles available, and you have options available. You cannot go to activities, you cannot go to the catalog, and you cannot go to the news, because you're still in the summit. Everything is happening here in the summit. You need to go out of the summit, back into the HQ, and then you can do whatever it is you want. But you can go to this main menu and put on the parts in this case. Put it on. For that green part, by scrapping it, we're going to get 120 scrap. Also, that is something you can see here. Now we have these 3 currencies here. So you can always see how much scrap you have left. A lot, as you can see. Like I said, the recalibration with the scrap is not a problem. The recalibration with the box is a problem. I recalibrated 2 cars, I think. And I bought like 1 or 2 cars in this game. In this game that I'm playing here, they gave us 10 million bucks and 10 million crew credits. So yeah, you can see what is left of it on top there. Most of it went to the recalibration. So I got 120 points here. Here we get the typical grind for maximum parts. Meaning there will always will be some part, usually it's exhaust in street, which is always running behind. These are all 230, 240 something. This is 160. Took a while before the first exhaust showed up, so that thing is running behind constantly. And that's how it usually is. Once you have the maximum parts of 280 in this case for street race, then you will always keep getting 280s, but we have been in that long enough to know how this works that we didn't want to do this again. They should have given us a what I can change in the options, for instance, is controls, and go to manual and see if we can do a bit of a faster run. Let's go again. Now we have upgraded our car. Now it's 260 or so, whatever. 231 instead of the 229 that we have on. But yeah, we need to go to 240, 250 or so to get like a faster time here. That's why I would prefer that they would have given us a bit of a more build to play with, like our own build, for instance, with all the yellow parts that we have on there, so that we could properly test what is possible in the summit. But a few options here. You could jump left or right, as we did in the first, or you can even go through the middle over the train rail there. Over here you can go over the footpath, although they put a checkpoint there now, I saw. But yeah, in a way it sort of represents what you do in the summit. It's like, yeah, you go in there again, you try to improve your score. The others do the same. You're always like, that's what the competitive aspect in it all comes into play. You improve your scores, but also they improve their scores, and they are looking what you are doing, and you are looking what they are doing, and that's how the competition goes for 1 week. But then you have some people who are never happy with anything, and then you have, like, already saw the comments on some of the videos. Oh, it's only customization. Oh, it's only summit. Yeah, it's only summit. It's like 9 events. It's gonna keep you busy every single day of the week. Whenever you want to play, you can play. There are all kind of events to go through. I don't know what some people out there want. I know some people want cops, but my advice for those who play want cops, go play Need for Speed or something. That's the problem that I have with all these different games and their communities. This game is about legal motorsport. Cops would make no sense at all in this game. And it also will give a lot of trouble with all kind of licensing and such. So Krustam, Jack and all of your subs who wants cops, go play Need for Speed, please. The same goes for you have these games. I've told you this already on the forums, and so you have all of these games out there. You have the crew where you need to have a big map where you need to put some effort into to get some parts and stuff like that. You have games where like Forza, where you get everything for free for wheel spins. Some people don't like that either. Other people love it. It's all, there is something out there for everybody. 480 scrap I get here from this purple part. And then you have all about neons and police chases and all that. That's usually Need for Speed. So that is sort of, that's how it goes. Eh? A game for everybody out there. But please, stop trying to get your game into another game. That doesn't work. Some more parts. So we're getting, how much do we have now? 232. Let's have a look. 234 I see there for those first two. So we need some more parts. And after that we need like a proper run. And that's sort of how you get your points going and your score going. And then you can improve. But let's do some other event now. Not here to win the summit. Just here to showcase a few things. So that's just like restricted. The new track you already saw as well. So let's have a look on the so-called super event. What I need to check first is if I actually have parts on that. Because yeah, we had two rally raid events happening here in the summit, so we had to switch parts between that BMW bike and the Porsche. I don't have any any parts on the on this, so it means that they should be on the Porsche now. Yep, they are. As you can see, a bunch of green and blue, because none of these things had parts, except for a few which had yellow combinations. The super event takes place in snow, as you can see on the snowflake on the ticket. Snow and daytime, by the looks of it. It is a rally raid car, but you are actually up against rally cross vehicles because it is also a rally cross track. But you're up against AI, so we should not be too much trouble, maybe just a bit in the beginning.
1.
Because yeah, as you can see, they are more or less blocking us here. Can't go anywhere. But of course it also brings along a few difficulties here and there, because yeah, this is not a rally cross car, so it does not have the acceleration to it just goes out on open wide big fields and such through the desert in rally raid. Rally cross is on short narrow tracks, all about acceleration. So the AI will be always there somewhere behind you, because they pretty much keep up on this track. It's their track in a way and not yours with your rally raid vehicle. Now all in all, of course, this Porsche back in the days has been doing some normal rallies as well, so it can handle it. But they are there, as you can see. They also took the jump already. 208. Best time is 202.7 here. But this is, yeah, this of course is something that gives them a zillion opportunities and possibilities, because yeah, you can have like anything happening here in the super event. You can take an aerobatic plane and throw it over a rally raid track. You can take an Alpha GP, take it over a street race track. All of those things you will be seeing in the upcoming summits. It can also be a more logical thing, as for instance a hypercar on a touring car track or something like that. But nevertheless, options are there in the super event. So that's for sure always going to be a interesting one. What else do we have? Of course, it's a summit. It's about motorsports. It's about the game. It uses all of the disciplines. So it is possible you're going to see a drift event here. It is possible you're going to see a monster arena. It's possible you're going to see a drag event or a whatever it is out there. Hovercraft, demolition derby. Yeah, in theory they could, for instance, do the demolition derby in the super event and actually use that demolition derby to race it somewhere on a track. That's gonna be very interesting, as a matter of fact, because those things do not steer that much, but we will see. Let's finish this video with, for instance, go to thecrewhub.com and check your standings and rankings. All of those will be available on the crew web, the crew hub site, and there you can find all of the rankings from the current summit, from the past summits. All of those things can be found there, next to pictures and everything like that.
3, 2, 1.
This is Latrell parts number 2. The only difference here is that we have to use this Porsche 918 because it's a level 3 restriction, meaning discipline and vehicle are completely restricted. You cannot use all your hypercars, you cannot use any other discipline. It also doesn't steer very much by the looks of it. That's the problem when you're still upgrading cars. You put 1 or 2 parts on it, it can change the handling a little bit. You can't really fine-tune your vehicle once it's upgraded. You can start doing that. But I like the variety in it all, because yeah, we're all familiar with Recel parts number 2, but most of the time people will be doing it in the beginning of the game in a Regera, later on in a Chiron and whatnot. But more than likely, not that many of you out there are using a Porsche 918 to get this thing going. Especially those involved in leaderboards, what do? They see to the leaderboard, what are the fastest car here, what are the other people using, and you take one of those cars. So with this level 3 restriction where they give you like 1 vehicle, well, they don't give it to you, that's also something I haven't mentioned it yet, maybe, yeah. You do not get a loaner car in any of these events, so you need to have the vehicle. Like for next week, that P51 Strega plane, you need to have it, otherwise you will not be able to participate in that vehicle. .352, I had a 344 here as best, but yeah, we got some parts again. You can of course also do some normal campaign events or find some live loot boxes to upgrade your cars. But yeah, here we're just doing some summit events, play around a bit, and put those things on. Try to upgrade this thing a little bit at least. And meanwhile, you get scrap all over the place. 960 scrap again, just to remove a couple of these parts. So the scrap, as you can see, it goes up pretty quickly, and you only have a maximum recalibration of 227 scrap. Of course, every time. If you have to do it 10 times, that's 2000 scrap. But even if I have to do it 10 times, that's 2000 scrap. I still have 49,000 left. So the scrap is not a problem for the recalibration. But if I have to do it 10 times the recalibration, I also would have to pay, in worst case scenario, 420,000 bucks. That's where the problem comes in. If you have to do that for a lot of cars, it's going to cost you a lot of bucks. Not so much the scrap. The scrap is fine. But we'll see how they deal with this. Because in my opinion, they have to deal with it. The Divo. More or less where we started with in the beginning of the video. I will make a description where I will point out all of these different subjects that we have encountered, meaning the new cards, the season pass coming to an end, the vanity items, the summit rewards, the scrap and recalibration obviously, and then of course this summit. Summit leaderboard did not improve anything here while we were going, by the way, but we are the top 5 here are the blue guys. That means platinum. The top 15 apparently was gold, and then the rest probably silver with the players that we had here. 25 by the looks of it. And then of course you also have that's sort of how it will look like. So you can see an overall leaderboard. That's what we are looking at here at this moment. You can go into the event specifically and then click on details. Yeah. There we go. Then you see first your friends leaderboard and then the overall leaderboard for this specific event. So you can find the event leaderboards all over the place. It's easy to detect where you are behind compared to a certain player in the overall leaderboard, and then you can sort of see what he or she is doing, and then you can go from there. Like in this case, I need to win 11,000 points to catch up with a core. Only 2,000 points are coming from this event, so I can improve my time here with 1 or 2 seconds. Will make me jump over him and give me maybe 112,000 points, and then I've already gained 1,000 points. And that's sort of how you do it. You improve your scores, you improve your skills, you improve your times, and so on. And that way you defend your rank throughout the whole week. That is the idea of the summit. That's where the competitive aspect of it comes. In general, it comes down to you have a look on these events, you do a run on it. In the beginning of the week, your times and your scores will more than likely look ridiculous if you look at them again at the end of the week. Because during the week, you will learn the tracks more specifically. You will learn where there are a shortcut possible, or where you can break a bit earlier, or where you can score a bit more points and stuff like that. It's something you will learn throughout the week. And then of course you keep an eye on what's going around you in the leaderboard, and then you try to beat those guys, but be assured they will try to do the same with you. So you have to keep going back and forth, try to improve your scores, and then see who the best overall player of the summit is. And not only of the summit, in a way also of this game, because it will have all the different disciplines in here somehow or another within this event structure. That also will be it for here and now. I think all in all been going on for about 2 hours and a half, and we more or less have covered most of the subjects when it comes to the hotshot update. There will be new cars, obviously. The main thing is the summit. Side thing is the new customization. We have stickers on the windows and other stuff that you can play around with. We have the scrap and recalibration to make better parts. Of course, that's also in a way related to the summit. That's where you want to have those super parts on your car. The perfect setup that would be ideal to show up there. Other than that, we will see what it is and we will see how it is like. And then, of course, they will see where they can improve. Like, for instance, a restriction on the skill test would be a very good thing to do, in my opinion. Of course, they get feedback from myself, from other people, from people on that have been involved not only in this preview but also in the technical test. They read all that, they take their conclusions, they have their idea, they have meetings with amongst each other, also with some of us, and then we have like a bit of discussion going back and forth, and we come to a certain conclusion, and then they see what is possible if they can bring it in the game or not. That is in general how it always goes. So we will see. We will see if they're gonna make some changes, if they find changes are needed or not, and we will see how it all evolves. All in all, pretty good one. As a competitive player, I can definitely not complain about this update. There are certain things that I wanted, like the blue line. It's in there. There are certain things that I wanted where it came to competition. The summit, play all week, every day if I want. So it's definitely, as a competitive player, don't think we can complain about it. Of course, there will be players out there who complain. That is what people do. It's never good enough. It's never what they wanted, and then you get comments like they do not listen to us, which is of course total bullshit. We have groups like the TPC, which is an NDA feedback group, but we have representatives coming from Facebook, Reddit, forums, YouTube, uh, the game itself, knowing it inside out. We know what's going on in the game. We know what the community wants. We know what the majority of the community wants. That doesn't always necessarily means that you're gonna see exactly what you want in the game. That is impossible. But notes are made, things are noticed, and then we go with that to the devs. And then, of course, it also depends on what they say. Sometimes they just do not agree. I see people sometimes asking for cups. While months ago, Ferguson himself already mentioned that cups is something they will might have to look into later, but at this moment in time, impossible. Doesn't fit with the theme of the motorsports, and it also doesn't fit definitely with the all these brands because they have licensing issues. If you bring cups, you have licensing issues. Can be assured of that, which means then they have to renegotiate all this licensing and maybe even are forced to take out cars. So in that case, they're definitely not gonna bring cups. But we will see over time what they will come into. The first thing that I'm thinking on, for instance, is a track creator. That is something that I would like to see. Other than that, there are possibilities going all over the place. With this summit being here, you have like all these players playing. Some of them play in teams. Why not make some sort of team clubs or something like that? All possibilities that might be coming into the future. Other than that, we have E3 upcoming in June. Not sure what's going to happen there. Are they going to just showcase this hotshots update again? More than likely. Or are they surprising us and everybody else with something additional? We will see. That will be it for now. 2 hours and a half and counting. I think it's time to stop and more or less get down to business. Have to review it all and then come up with a timeline so that you guys can find everything that you need, specifically part of the video. I will see you guys then. Bye for now.